dog.
Tardes, muy buenas tardes. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Están bien?
Sí.
Sí, están bien.
Bien,
Ujú. Vale,
bien,
bueno. Y feliz día de San Valentín.
Ujú.
Feliz día de los enamorados. Ah, uy, feliz miércoles de cenizas. Happy Ash Wednesday if you do
yes.
that, which I should have gone in to do that, but I couldn't because I had other things happening. This has been a busy day. Okay. Ah, muy bien. Vale, vamos a practicar con las preguntas. Vamos a hablar de las preguntas, pero primero, vamos a practicar con el video. We did not do the listening practice. I did not give you the listening practice video, did I? For fun, short stories. Vamos a empezar con eso. We're going to begin with that. Es divertido. It's fun. Pero ustedes sí necesitan para este ejercicio, ustedes sí necesitan para algo que pueden usar para escribir apuntes, palabras breves, yeah, just for taking notes about easy stuff, yeah. Um, okay, vale. Because I assure you, if your brain is anything like mine, and no, you guys are always smarter than I am. Uh, if your brain is anything like mine, you hear something and you just heard it, but then it like goes, out there. Okay. A ver. Um, bueno, ustedes van a escuchar como 4 o 5 breves conversaciones en español. ¿Ok? Y es una mezcla de información presente, pasado, un poco de todo, a little of everything. But you may want to just note briefly the who, what, when kind of information. Yeah, not to write everything you hear. And they will ask you questions about each one of these very brief conversations. Okay, so that's the point of the taking the notes, because sometimes you can get kind of lost in the weeds, yeah? Vale. Bueno, a ver, vamos a empezar. Aquí.
We're going to practice our Spanish listening and comprehension skills.
Comprensión.
Let's get right into it. Aló, hola amiga, tengo que contarte algo.
Es importante el nombre. Okay, so here to keep in mind who does what in a lot of these can be important. Okay.
¿Qué cosa? Imagínate que yo estaba sentada en la cafetería de siempre cuando de repente apareció Pepito. Amiga, disculpa que te interrumpa, la verdad no puedo hablar ahora. Entonces, ¿por qué contestaste? En caso de que fuera una emergencia, pero veo que solo es un chisme, así que debo volver al trabajo. Yo te llamo más tarde, ¿sí? Está bien. ¿A qué horas? A las 6, ¿te parece? Perfecto. Hablamos entonces, chao, chao.
Ok, y la palabra chisme es gossip. Chisme, ¿bien? Ok, primera pregunta.
Pregunta número 1. ¿Dónde estaba Angélica en su historia? A, en la librería. B, en la cafetería. C, en la ferretería.
Where was she?
B. B.
Lo tiene en inglés.
La respuesta es B, en la cafetería. Pregunta número 2. ¿Por qué Camila no podía hablar por teléfono? A, porque no quería escuchar el chisme. B, porque tenía una emergencia. C, porque estaba trabajando.
Porque tenía una emergencia.
La respuesta
Sí.
es C, porque estaba trabajando.
Estaba trabajando. So you got to make inferences. Yeah. And if you're missing some things here, no se preocupen. Don't worry about it. Some of these, you'll get the rhythm of it, and the next one will be a little more obvious. But you see how short these are. Okay.
¿Qué horas va a llamar Camila a Angélica otra vez? A
I got that one. A las 6.
A las 3. C a las 7.
A las 6.
La respuesta es a las 6.
A las 6. And you see, she goes kind of fast, but you see, you're just picking up really the gist. You don't have to know every detail, but you kind of have to know the nuances, why did she, she said, oh, this is just going to be about gossip. I can't talk now. She's working. Why did you pick up? Because I thought it was an emergency. Call back later. Okay. So, you'll see, and they're all going to be brief like this.
Scenario 2, en la oficina. Natalia, ¿qué vas a...
Y el escenario es que las dos mujeres están en la oficina, ¿ok? Tenemos Vanessa y Natalia. Vanessa y Natalia.
¿Qué vas a hacer este fin de semana? No estoy segura. Creo que mañana solo haré las tareas del hogar y pasearé a mi perro. Y el domingo voy a leer un libro. ¿Y tú? El sábado voy a una fiesta. Y el domingo vamos a la playa. ¿Quieres ir? No lo sé. Creo que quiero descansar este fin de semana. El fin de semana pasado estuve en una fiesta hasta muy tarde y luego trabajé toda la semana. Ah, entiendo. Bueno, si cambias de opinión, me envías un mensaje. Vale, ¿dónde será la fiesta? En el Bar Central. Súper. Pues, pregunta número 1. ¿Qué día va a hacer Natalia las tareas del hogar? A, el domingo. B, el viernes. C, el sábado.
Tareas de hogar, housework. Okay.
La respuesta es C, el sábado. Pregunta número 2. ¿Qué va a hacer Vanessa el sábado? A, va a la playa. B, va a una fiesta. C, va a descansar.
Va a la fiesta. B.
La respuesta es B, va a una fiesta. Pregunta número 3. ¿Dónde va a ser la fiesta? A, en una discoteca. B, en el Bar Central. C, en la casa de Vanessa.
B, en el Bar Central.
B.
La respuesta es B, en el Bar Central.
Bien, y va a ser, no es va a estar. When we talk about an event, a party, ¿dónde va a ser? Where is it going to be? I know you're talking about location, but it's an event. So when we've got an event, like a party, a wedding, a meeting, a presentation, instead of where is an item located, they'll use ser. Okay.
Scenario 3. Dentro de una semana, mi novio y yo vamos por primera vez a Nueva York. Y vamos a hacer todas las cosas típicas de turista. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no? Primero, vamos a ir al Rockefeller y subir al Top of the Rock. He escuchado que se ve una maravillosa vista de la ciudad desde ahí. Al día siguiente vamos a hacer un picnic en Central Park. La razón principal por la que vamos a Nueva York es porque nos invitaron a una boda. Y eso es lo que haremos el tercer día. Después de eso queremos improvisar un poco y visitar varios restaurantes, porque no hay un buen viaje sin buena comida. Pues, pregunta número 1. ¿Qué van a hacer la narradora y su novio en su primer día en Nueva York? A. Visitar el Rockefeller. B. Visitar el Empire State Building. C. Visitar la Estatua de la Libertad.
Visitar el Rockefeller.
Rockefeller.
Sí.
La respuesta es A. Visitar el Rockefeller. Pregunta número 2. ¿Por qué van a Nueva York? A. Quieren conocer Central Park. B. Quieren ir a los restaurantes. C. Los invitaron a una boda.
The wedding invitation.
Sí.
Boda.
La respuesta es C. Los invitaron a una boda. Pregunta número 3. ¿Qué van a hacer el segundo día? A. Van a caminar por Central Park. B. Van al cine. C. Van a hacer un picnic en Central Park.
Sí.
Sí.
Sí, hay dos
Picnic.
cosas con Central Park, ¿no? Parque
Right.
Central.
Picnic in Central Park.
La respuesta es C. Van a hacer un picnic en
Hacer un
Central
picnic.
Park.
Do a
Scenario
picnic.
4.
Have a picnic.
Hace 2 años fui de viaje a Europa y visité varios países. Primero fui a España. Estuve ahí 5 días. Mi parte favorita fue visitar la Sagrada Familia en Barcelona. Después fui en tren a Francia, donde visité, por supuesto, la Torre Eiffel. Pero lo mejor de todo fue el Valle del Loira. Por último, fui a Bélgica. Tenía muchas ganas de probar sus cervezas artesanales y me encantó caminar las calles de Bruselas. Lo mejor de ese viaje fue toda la maravillosa gente que conocí. Espero volver pronto. Quiz. Pregunta número 1. ¿En cuántos países de Europa estuvo el narrador? A. 4. B. 3. C. 2.
¿Cuántos?
3.
Sí.
3. B.
A. 4.
La respuesta es B. El narrador visitó 3 países europeos. Pregunta número 2. ¿Cuál fue su lugar favorito de España? A. La Sagrada Familia. B. Barcelona. C. El tren.
El tren. Es obvio, no.
Well, Sagrada Familia is in Barcelona. So,
Sí, sí.
La respuesta es A. La Sagrada Familia. Pregunta número 3. ¿Por qué quería el narrador ir a Bélgica? A. Quería caminar por Bruselas. B. Quería probar la comida. C. Quería probar sus cervezas artesanales.
Sí.
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 Also A.
La respuesta es C. El narrador quería probar sus cervezas artesanales. Scenario 5. En el teléfono. Hola María. Hola Carmen. ¿Emocionada por la fiesta? Sí, mucho. De hecho, te estoy llamando porque necesito que traigas unas cosas, por favor. Claro que sí. ¿Qué necesitas? Unos globos, confeti y 1 litro de gaseosa. Listo. ¿Necesitas que lleve vasos también? No, tranqui. Los vasos los va a traer Giancarlo.
Sí, y tranqui es chill. Okay, it's like tranquilo, tranquila. Okay.
Perfecto. ¿A qué horas llego? La fiesta es a las 6, pero ¿puedes llegar a las 5 para que me ayudes con las cosas? Por supuesto, nos vemos allá. Dale, chao. Quiz. Pregunta número 1. ¿Qué tiene que llevar María a la fiesta? A. Globos y confeti. B, gaseosa y vasos. C, globos, confeti y gaseosa.
Ah, sí. Sí.
Yeah. Great.
Los tres.
Sí.
La respuesta es C.
Sí. ¿Qué es gaseosa?
Soda.
Yeah.
Soda.
Soft drink?
Sodas, it says.
Hay muchas, sí, soda. Hay muchas palabras. A veces soda, como en Costa Rica se dice soda.
Refrescos.
Refrescos, sí, eso. Y depende del país. Ok.
Globos, confeti y gaseosa. 2. ¿Quién debe llevar los vasos? A, Giancarlos. B, María. C, Carmen.
Ah, Jean Carlos.
La respuesta es A, Giancarlos. Pregunta número 3. ¿A qué horas debe estar María en la fiesta? A las 4, B a las 6, C a las 5.
A las 5.
Oh,
Hablaron de 2 horas, ¿no? Pero
La respuesta es C a las 5.
sí, a las 5, a las 6 es para toda la gente en general. Bien.
Ok,
Y creo que
guys.
sí, eso es todo, eso es todo. Ok. Buen ejercicio para escuchar un poco y un ejercicio de calentar, warm up exercise. Ok. Ah, vale. Ahorita. Adelante, adelante. Ah, quiero que ustedes practiquen un poquito con las ideas, con las preguntas aquí de este vídeo. Bien, sí. Bueno, ¿les ayudó esta lista de vocabulario? Did this vocabulary list help you?
Sí.
Okay, vale, sí. She uses a fair amount of some slang terms and some it isn't necessarily a slang thing. But actually, one person this morning said, "Does this girl ever hit pause to breathe?"
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
my.
she's very excited and peppy, and well, yeah, es normal. She's a normal gal, 25-ish, I think,
She
something like
wore
that.
me out.
She
Yeah.
wore you out. I think I have lived with this age for too long with these this age in my household. This to me was sort of like just another day. Okay, just another story from someone in that age group. That's my life, guys. Pero sí, aquí, and I want you to know, so I had a little question come up. Y entonces, okay, based on some of the questions that came up this morning, I want to point out a couple of things because actually this is something I didn't think. Sabor es flavor. Es el sustantivo. That's the noun. Okay, por ejemplo, el sabor de mi té caliente tiene sabor de cereza. It has cherry flavor. Tiene sabor de cereza, ¿sí? That kind of flavor. See? Okay, flavor. But there is another thing, and somebody said, I heard them use this word. I think it was this, except they said, I heard her say this, me sabe. Me sabe. And this person said, wow, sabe. I know it knows me. What is that about? Is that from saber? There are two saber verbs. And this other saber verb comes from this noun idea of sabor, flavor. When you're talking about something tastes a certain way, como el sabor de mi té, when you're saying something tastes good or tastes like this, it tastes like fish. Yeah, something like that. This is a different and separate verb saber, and it means something tastes a certain way. So me sabe, it tastes to me like something, okay? I can't remember exactly which thing she was describing since the whole thing was about food. Eso, sí. Nadie en Latinoamérica dice zumo. Nobody uses zumo except if they're in Spain. So just keep in mind, you know, jugo in Latin America, and actually just not Mexico, but Latin America, they're using it. This is a very much a Spanish slang. You probably will not hear this slang in Latin America, although they seem to be kind of, they think it's quaint and cute, Latin Americans. But sí, flipar, yeah. Estaba flipando. I was kind of wigging out. I was freaking out. I was flipping out. And flipar is usually a positive reaction, but kind of like a wow kind of thing. Although it can be like, yeah, you know, too. Depende.
Marilyn,
Esteban.
quick question. We go back to sabor.
Mm.
To me, the flavor, I also look at it as taste, and probar also taste or flavor, no?
Eso sí. These are very fine.
There a difference?
There is a difference. See, the food tastes a certain way. That's saber. Okay. Esta ensalada o por ejemplo, no, mejor. Este pollo sabe a ajo. It tastes like garlic because you put a lot in. Yeah. See? La ensalada sabe a limón because you sprinkled a lot of lemon juice on maybe the leaves. Yeah, la ensalada. But probar is also taste. This saber is taste like it has a flavor that we're talking about the food. This probar is the person who is actually putting it in the mouth. Probar. Ok, por ejemplo, pruebo cuando voy a un restaurante, a un lugar nuevo, me gusta probar la especialidad de la casa. I like to taste the house specialty. This probar is the person who is
Okay, so
putting
it's a
something in their
personal,
mouth.
it's a personal
Eso.
word. Okay, thank
Sí.
you.
Sí.
Is that a
So,
stem changer?
It is a stem changer. Sí. Sí, pruebo el vino pruebo el primer vino en la lista. I'm trying the first wine on the list. Sí, pruebo. Solamente en presente, sí. Or a command, see, prueba, try this. Yeah, somebody wants you to take a little piece of something. Yeah, prueba esto, sí, okay. Probar is the person. It talks about the person who is tasting something. So I'm going to put down here. Person who does the tasting, the person who actually eats or consumes something. And keep in mind, probarse means to try on like ropa. Bien, sí. So we use try a lot of different ways or taste even different ways, and there are going to be different ways to express that in Spanish. Okay. Vale. Bien. When they talk about beers, do know that caña in Spain is the favored word for a glass of beer when you walk in and you want to order something. Okay, people will typically are more likely to say, ponme una caña, ponme una caña. And caña, however, is probably about this tall. Okay, it's not that great big kind of English pint thing like that. Una caña is probably about this tall. It's not a super big glass. It tends to be a smaller glass. But the word that is often favored for beer in Mexico will be chela. So it depends on where you go, right? Cerveza muy en general, pero yeah. Es como give me a brew. Yeah. Eso. Ok. Bien. Vale. Y vamos a hablar un poquito de las preguntas aquí dentro de un minuto. Oh, momentito. Tengo que, tengo que encontrar dónde está el video. Bien. Vale. Ah, quiero, quiero saber si, también, quiero saber también si ustedes tienen preguntas del vídeo. ¿Entendieron la mayoría de las ideas en su vídeo? ¿O tienen algunas preguntas? Do you have any questions about something she said or terms she used? Lisa?
It was just interesting to hear her use os a lot, os.
Porque
And I
sí.
had to go look it up. I mean, I've heard vosotros more, but I guess I've never heard someone in the video use.
In Latin America, you will not hear os.
Right.
You will hear os only in Spain, but you hear it a lot in Spain because it will be what is used most generally for the you guys. See?
So it's the
Os
form
voy
of,
a contar, I'm going to tell you guys.
oh.
So it's the plural of te. Te voy a contar, I'm going to tell you, but it's only one you. Yeah. Os voy a contar, I'm going to tell you guys. In Mexico, you would hear it this way. Les voy a contar. Les. Okay. They will only use les because they only use ustedes for plural you. But in Spain, it's very favored to use vosotros with people that you know. So I had a hard time learning vosotros, but I had to use it when I was in school because people looked at you like a weirdo if you did not use it. Because if you walk into the bar and you greet everybody, and you use ustedes, they're like, what planet did you come out of? It was like that. That's super formal. It's super formal. So when you talk with your friends and you're in a group, it'll, that it's the plural of te. That's all it is. That's all you have to think of for os. Okay. But you won't hear it in Latin America. Karen, see.
Yeah, when she was talking about la carne curada, and then she brought up jerky, and I couldn't quite tell if she was saying she liked it or she didn't. And what was the connection she was trying to make? Because I know in Spain they have a ham that they just really love, which we did not care for.
Jamón ibérico. A mí me gusta
special
así.
cured, and but I wouldn't have equated it with jerky at all.
Because it is cured. And I am not sufficiently informed of the process of curing exactly how it is done.
Was she saying aging, that
drying it out? Yeah,
that cured meats. It's not cooked. It's not cooked. It's cured. Or
a lot of
there
are meats that are cured. So the closest you can really compare it to is like stuff like salamis and
yeah, I mean, she just kind of runs all her sentences together. It's like a run-on speech, and you don't know when the idea is changing, and it was not clear on what she was trying to say there.
So those little cured meats where you just it's not warmed up in an oven or anything and then served to you, just sliced off. Yeah. And a lot of the jamón ibérico will fall into that category. And telling a Spaniard you don't like jamón ibérico is kind of like saying to a Mexican you don't like tacos.
Well, no, I understand, but I mean, they say, do you want it this way or that way? And we tried both and said, I think we'll stick with the old stuff.
it is also one of the biggest shocks I had. It was I'm sure this has changed somewhat because this is a very long time ago. And I didn't, I'm going to say this. No, the last time I was there, I did not notice this. But en 1976, in 1976, you still saw a lot of people hanging little animals in their windows in the store shops. So I would see little bunnies hanging up by their feet, dead, of course. Yes. Oh, yes. The bunnies were hanging by their feet upside down. The pigs were hung by their feet upside down.
Are they live or dead?
Oh, dead.
Yeah.
Very dead.
Because when I was a
Some
little
skinned,
boy,
some not.
when I was a little boy here, the butcher shops, on the meat market, they hung chickens by their leg upside down. And you go by the store and there are these chickens. You go into, I want that one. And then they take it. I don't know what the heck they did with it. They chopped it up in front of them.
Now you do to this day, you still will see, even if you go into like a big market, like in Barcelona, in Las Ramblas, in that area, the big commercial tourist area, even there in the big food markets, you still will see like whole pig heads sitting there in the case in the meat area. You will see that, but you will not necessarily see all of little Piggly Wiggly hanging up by his toes. And one of my professors used to say, well, it's gamey, but they like that. But you don't see the bunnies so much hanging up as much as you used to. So, okay, bien. Vale. Hay otra pregunta. Is there any other question about her little video? Something it didn't quite get? And she does kind of ramble on from one thing to another, but that's part of you listen to people talk. That's the way they're going to talk.
I liked her. I thought she was adorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Ella
from
es de
Texas.
Texas. Sus papás tienen un ranchito en Texas, pero hace 5 años que vive en España. Y con su novio, tiene un novio, no sé cómo es su novio, no sé. Ok, vale. Otra pregunta, uno. Now, what she was talking about was not necessarily foods. The title says 10 comidas que no comía antes de vivir en España. And they are not strictly things she never, ever had before, but things she never had served in a certain way or in certain quantities. Although you can go down that route of foods you've never had before, but the obvious things. And she said at the beginning of the video, I'm not talking about things like paella and, not like the national dish stuff, but just like everyday stuff that is served that she never ate in that way. As somebody who grew up in the States. Okay. Adelante. Vamos a hablar un poquito de la primera pregunta, todos juntos en el grupo grande, ¿sí? Número 1, ¿sí? A ver, ¿cuáles son las cosas que Rachel no comía en Estados Unidos, pero sí come mucho en España? Una lista, ¿sí? Cosas muy generales.
Los mariscos.
Mariscos, sí. Mariscos. Mariscos como shellfish, seafood. Eso, sí. Bueno, ¿qué más? Hay 10, pero...
Aceitunas.
Aceitunas. Sí, aceitunas. Esto sí me sorprendió un poco. Comemos aceitunas, ¿no? ¿En Estados Unidos?
Sí.
Pero no en un bol.
Ah,
no bol gigante de
sí,
aceitunas.
sí. Ok. Lo que yo quiero decirles a ustedes es que la diferencia es si comemos aceitunas en una pizza, por ejemplo, o en...
Ensalada.
Sí.
Sí, sí, muchas recetas tienen, sí, aceitunas, pero la variedad de aceitunas allá es enorme,
Sí.
¿sí?
Sí.
Hay muchos tipos de ensaladas. Bueno, si vas al deli, ¿sí? Y compras una bandeja para una fiesta, una bandeja de antipasto, ¿no? Al
Sí.
estilo italiano. Entonces, hay muchos tipos de aceitunas y ella habla de esto, ¿sí? Y también es muy común ir a un bar, se
Mhm.
sirven aceitunas en el bar
Ujú.
todos los días, como aquí en un bar hay como cacahuetes, maníes, peanuts, ¿sí?
Mm, mhm,
Y
mhm.
papitas o topopos, chips, sí, en el bar. Allá en el bar se sirven aceitunas
Mm.
sí, sí, para picar, to munch. Muy
Mm.
común. Ok, mariscos, aceitunas, ¿qué más? ¿Qué más? ¿Qué?
Tomates.
Tomates, yeah.
Tomates.
Tomates con aceite y sal.
Sí, sí, ok. Tomates, pero es muy común tomar o comer tomates para el desayuno
Mm,
en
Mm.
España.
Sí.
Un desayuno muy típico es tomar tomates y, a ver,
Inglaterra
sí,
también.
un desayuno busco, ¿dónde está la palabra aquí? Sí, ok. Un desayuno muy típico en España es pan tostado con tomates rallados.
Ah.
Tomates rallados
Mm.
en el pan tostado, ¿sí? Como avocado toast, pero con tomates en vez de aguacate, ¿sí? Un poquito de aceite, sí, es un desayuno muy típico. Ok, carne curada, bien, sí, Jen, nos dijiste, sí, carne curada.
Pero y también los tomates a- con aceite y sal.
Aceite, sí, aceite y
Aceite,
sal.
oil. Sí, sí,
Sí,
pero
aceite y sal, sí, también, sí.
ya en los Estados
Ah,
Unidos
y
no. No.
aquí los estadounidenses usan tomates en hamburguesas, usamos tomates en los sándwiches, usamos tomates en una ensalada,
Ujú.
pero tomates por simplemente tomates no es tan común, ¿ok? Bueno, carne curada, bueno, ¿qué más? ¿Qué más?
Mucho pan.
Mucho pan.
Mucho pan.
Mucho pan, sí.
Y mucho arroz.
Y
Sí.
sí, y arroz. Arroz también. El arroz es más común allá. ¿Ven? Y también en Latinoamérica se usa así, mucho arroz y con frijoles y todo eso. Ok, vale, perfecto, perfecto. ¿Hay algo más?
Ujú.
Sí.
Ah,
Calamari.
Calamares, sí, que es un tipo de marisco, sí, bien.
Ternera.
Pero, perdón, Esteban.
Ternera.
Ternera, sí.
Ah.
Ternera, exacto. Ternera, bien, bueno. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete. Bueno, hay tres más. No sé si.
Jugo de naranja.
Jugo, sí. Y ella dijo zumo, pero no se dice zumo aquí. Jugo de naranja. Pero jugo de naranja bien, bien, bien fresco.
Sí.
Bien
Sí,
fresco.
sí.
Sí, congelada. Nunca. None of that frozen congealed.
Yeah.
Sí.
Um,
Ok.
cerveza.
Sí.
Cerveza. Ella habló de la cerveza. Sí. Sí, la cerveza. Y que a alguien le dijo que abuelita, cuando ella tomó un vaso de vino, que creo que el vino es quizás un poquito más típico para las mujeres aquí, pero allá no, todo el mundo toma cerveza. Ah,
What
para los jóvenes, para los jóvenes. Claro, sí, Lisa.
what was ternera? I tried to look it up.
Ternera, sí, ternera. Usually the first thing you're going to see with ternera is veal, but she was really referring more to steaks. So when you look at that word ternera, what she's referring to is what in Latin America they're usually going to call either bistec
Oh,
or something like carne de res. Bien, sí.
yes. Yeah.
Uh, Depende. And there'll be different words for that with Argentina, with the whole grilling culture, which is totally different from what you find is that's just unique to them, totally unique culture for them. They have lots of terminology for the whole
Barbecue.
barbecue culture they do. Bien, ok, vale. Sí, es una lista bastante completa, ¿sí? Ah, ok, bueno. Lo que quiero es que ustedes practiquen con, uy, con cuatro, no, perdón, con tres preguntas aquí. Números 4, 3 y dos, tres. Dos, tres y cuatro. Estoy contando al revés. Ah, pero en grupos pequeños, ¿verdad? Para practicar un poquito más. Bien. Entonces, quiero que ustedes practiquen con número 2, número 3, número 4 y son cuáles comidas en la lista de Rachel te sorprendieron. Which things surprised you? Ok. ¿Y por qué? ¿Y por qué? Ah, hay comida que comes más aquí tú personalmente. Hay comida que comes más aquí en Arizona, pero no, ah, ah, no comías, perdón, no comías en la ciudad donde naciste. Is there stuff that you eat here now, but you didn't eat where you grew up? So, okay, I usually don't get that many people who are native Arizonans. If you're a native Arizonan, forgive the way this was. You may have to avoid that. We have very few native born folk here, although that's changing a little with my kids' generation for sure. Y número 4 que dice, sí, ¿cuáles son las cosas que comías en tu niñez, pero no comes ahora? What stuff did you eat as a kid, but you don't eat so much now? And that I was really framing that question with the idea of if you grew up somewhere else but moved here, some foods are more common,
Oh.
yeah, where you grew up, or if you grew up long ago. Uh, they might have been common, and we'll talk a little bit about that. There may be some untranslatable or hard to translate words, which is okay to use the English term for those. I'm going to give you an example. Por ejemplo, somebody this morning wanted to talk about corned beef. because of where he grew up. Corned beef was like a real thing in his childhood, in the region where he grew up. And corned beef is a tougher term to translate because they don't use it as much. Yeah, it's not a thing in their culture. So keep in mind some of those things. You may just want to like not madly look up the word, but just use whatever term we use. Okay, vale, sí. Y ustedes van a ver las preguntas en los cuartitos. You're going to see them in your little rooms. So let me get that set up. Voy a arreglar. Voy a arreglar aquí los cuartos. Okay. When you hit your join button, I'll be able to put in a share button. Just those 3 questions that you see highlighted, but you will see them on the screen. Vale, mejor. Bien. A ver. Y voy a poner mi cronómetro. I'm gonna put on my stopwatch. Voy a poner el cronómetro. ¿Y dónde está? Para como 7 minutos. Okay, 7. Vamos a ver, 4 minutos más. Quiero que todos tengan tiempo suficiente para practicar. Ok, pronto van a regresar todos. Ah, bien. Vale, ok. Ahorita tienen 1 minuto, exactamente 60 segundos para terminar y regresar aquí al grupo. Ok, perfecto. Aquí vienen todos. Excelente, excelente. Bueno, a ver. Ah, quiero saber, por ejemplo, si ustedes tienen ideas aquí de que quieren compartir. Are there any ideas you want to share from the little conversations you had here? Sí, ¿cuáles? Me sorprendió que Rachel habló de cerveza,
Sí,
porque no me parece algo raro que las jóvenes, las chicas, toman cerveza aquí.
sí, estoy de acuerdo.
Sí, ok, ok. Yo también, sí, esto me sorprendió un poquito. Ah, ah, hay un poquito de snobismo de beber vino o beber cerveza, pero no me parece así. Bueno, hay comidas que ustedes comen aquí que no comían en otros lugares. I'm curious about these things of like what you eat here but didn't eat where you grew up.
No,
En mi ciudad no comíamos, cuando yo era joven, no comíamos mucha comida mexicana.
The-
ba-
Sí,
Yo
es-
también.
sí,
No,
sí.
no, 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 no sé.
Y
No,
aquí,
tampoco.
sí,
Tampoco.
sí. Bueno, sí, había restaurantes mexicanos, pero
No, mi bueno, ya.
sí, no son restaurantes de la calidad de comida mexicana que tenemos aquí, que obviamente tenemos restaurantes que tienen ingredientes muy frescos y recetas de las abuelitas, recetas auténticas, y son mejores, ¿bien? Am, ¿Hay algo, sí? ¿Comían ustedes algo en la niñez que no comen ahora?
Yeah.
Pregunta.
Sí, dime, Pedrito.
I among the sentences I put together included the phrase "I agree," and the corrected version both by my group and Spanish Dick was estoy de acuerdo.
Sí.
But before that, tell me why it's wrong to use what I originally used, which was yo acuerdo.
Yo acuerdo. Ah, 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 estoy de acuerdo es lo que se dice. That is just the way most people express the idea of I agree, or they just shorten it to de acuerdo, but without the yo. De acuerdo.
Okay.
De acuerdo o estoy de acuerdo. A lot of people shorten it. Like we might just say agreed. Or for sure, or oh yeah, me too. De acuerdo, claro. Sí.
I would have wanted to say me acuerdo. Is that wrong?
Me acuerdo means you remember something. Sí.
That's what
Ahora entiendo. Hay dos verbos que usamos en español que son semejantes, ¿sí? Me acuerdo de. Me acuerdo de. Me acuerdo de ir al parque con mi hermana mayor. Es igual, recuerdo ir al parque con mi hermana mayor. Son iguales. Recuerdo, me acuerdo de. Es me acuerdo de. I remember. There are two verbs for saying you remember. Why do they have? Because we have recall and remember is the only thing I can tell you. There's no difference really between I recall and I remember. They both mean the same thing, but they're two different words we use to express the same idea. So they have two verbs for that. But de acuerdo es otra cosa. De acuerdo es I agree with. I am of accord.
Okay.
Which you would never say in English because people look at you funny. Okay. Vale. ¿Sí? ¿Mejor? Okay. Okay. Bien. ¿Tienen ustedes otras ideas de comidas de la niñez que no comen aquí en Arizona? Ahora que viven aquí.
Fue fue un marisco de sangría.
Okay.
Está típico en Irlanda, but no vi en los Estados Unidos.
Bien, sí. Hay muchos tipos de comida que yo comía en mi niñez, porque yo vivía en una ciudad con inmigrantes de Polonia.
Sí.
Hay mucha comida muy específica a los campesinos de Polonia. The peasants of Poland have very specific dishes they eat que nadie come.
Check también. Check
Sí.
también.
Sí, sí, eso, ¿no? ¿Verdad? O, por ejemplo, hay comidas que se comen en la parte muy del norte de Michigan, ¿sí?
Oh.
Porque no me gustan y no recuerdo. Es un tipo de pescado que la gente de Finlandia y Noruega tienen en Minnesota, Michigan.
Lutefisk?
Eso sí, sí. Uy,
Lutefisk.
lutefisk. ¿Alguien aquí sabe de lutefisk? ¿Pueden describirlo? Can you describe it?
I've never had it. I just have heard of it.
I had it at a
Qué
friend.
buena suerte, qué buena suerte.
Sí.
A mí no me gusta. Huele muy fuerte. Lo único que voy a decirles a ustedes es que huele muy fuerte. sabe a pescado, pero fuerte, fuerte. Y por eso no me gusta. Me gusta el pescado, pero lutefisk no. Ah, o por ejemplo, hay un queso muy popular en Wisconsin también. Uy,
Bratwurst.
no, bratwurst es una carne, pero sí. ah, am, hay un tipo de queso que se come mucho en el norte de Michigan también, en Wisconsin, que es
Fría.
¿cómo se dice? Tengo que pensar, tengo que buscar ahora porque
Well, they
me molesta.
Kobasi,
eat
Kobasi,
birds, but I
Oh,
don't eat
kielbasa?
birds.
No, kielbasa, no, kielbasa es un tipo, es como chorizo,
yeah,
pero
sí.
menos
Oh,
fuerte.
cheese curds.
Cheese curds.
Birds.
Oh, cheese curds
Yeah, good.
también.
Ah,
Oh, a mí me
Uy,
gusta.
Yum.
Oh, fried
oh,
chicken.
good, good.
uy.
You have to fry them with a batter.
Oh, no, no,
Eso
no.
sí.
More Wisconsin,
Ah,
I think, than
Mhm.
Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
sí. Uy, ¿dónde
Not
está?
with gravy either.
Cheese curds with gravy?
No,
Oh,
no,
Oh,
sí.
poutine.
no, with a ranch
Oh,
dressing.
Limburger.
Oh,
El
Oh,
queso
yeah.
Limburger.
Oh, ew.
El queso Limburger. Hay un pueblo, el
No.
pueblo donde vivían mis suegros por muchos, muchos años en Wisconsin. Tienen un restaurante que es bien famoso por el queso Limburger. Y siempre hay chistes, hay bromas de lo malo que es el queso Limburger. Bien. Ah, y bueno, yo no sabía porque nunca había probado Limburger. Y me dijeron, bien, en ese restaurante el Limburger es famoso y tienes que probarlo. Uy, ay, ay. No, me
Oh,
equivoqué.
Dios.
I made a
Oh, Dios.
mistake. Me equivoqué mucho. Ay, no me gustó. Sí, huele muy mal. Huele mal, huele mal. Ah, y
sí.
es fuerte, pero hay alguna gente, a ellos le encanta, ¿sí? Ok.
How about pierogies?
Yeah.
Pierogi,
Oh,
Yes.
sí,
Sí, comme ça.
sí,
¿Qué
más o menos,
pole?
sí.
Me gusta.
Mi mamá no preparaba
Oh, no.
pierogi, pero es una comida famosa, sí, de eso, sí. Y hay otras cosas que se hacen con las entrañas
Mm.
del,
mm.
del cerdo que no me apetecen. Don't really appeal. Ok, vale. Ah, bueno. Otras preguntas. Ok, vamos adelante. Adelante. Ustedes van a practicar ahora solamente dos preguntas, entonces quizás 5 minutos, ¿no? ¿Qué comida es para ti algo lujosa? ¿Sí? Ella nos dijo en el video, Rachel, que la ternera, el bistec, ¿sí? Es algo, una comida de lujo, a luxurious food, a luxury food. Sí, cuesta mucho, cuesta mucho. Ok, ah, ¿qué comida es para ti algo lujosa que no la comes con frecuencia por su alto precio, porque cuesta mucho, ok? Y por fin, la última pregunta, ¿qué comida probaste? What food did you taste or try out? ¿Qué comida probaste durante tus viajes a otros países que no existe aquí en Estados Unidos? ¿Sí? Ah, bien, ok. Y van a ver las preguntas en los cuartos. Pero creo que es mejor con solamente 5 minutos esta vez. Pueden, pues ya, sí, pueden verlos. Bien, ok, a ver. Oh, and Julie, is your join button working? Sí, vale, bueno. Y 5 minutos aquí. Bien. Vale, bueno. Ok, ya llegó la hora que ah, Bien. Tienen oficialmente 1 minuto, pero algunas personas van a regresar en como 20 o 30 segundos. Vale, muy bien. Bien, excelente. Aquí vamos. Entonces, sí, una conversación más breve porque solamente teníamos 2 preguntas aquí, pero tengo mucha curiosidad ah, de saber cuál para ustedes personalmente, ¿cuál es una comida lujosa?
Lujosa.
Algo
Ah,
que cuesta mucho.
Para mí es un New York strip steak
Ah, eso sí.
con papas y ensalada y how do you say cream cheesecake? El postre de cream.
Oh,
yum.
Sí,
sí.
sí,
Are
sí,
you
sí.
Y
cooking tonight?
pasteles de queso. Ah,
Oh, pero tengo hambre.
ah,
sí, sí.
¿Cómo se dice fattening? No.
Eh,
una comida que se
engorda,
engorda, ¿sí?
Oh,
Con que tiene muchísimas
oh,
calorías.
sí, sí, but
Sí, que
me
alguien se
encanta,
engorda con eso.
me encanta.
Sí, bueno, otras ideas de comidas lujosas. Para mí, sí, siempre son los mariscos y los pescados, ¿sí? Me encanta el pescado, pero es muy difícil comprar pescado aquí,
Really?
Sí,
porque,
sí.
sí,
Well, somos en el desert. We're in the desert.
tipos como de sea bass o tiburón, shark o
Ujú.
algo así. Es muy difícil comprar pescado muy fresco.
sí,
Sí,
muy
sí.
cara.
Sí, necesito ser una playa,
Ah, ah,
cerca de playa.
necesitas vivir cerca del mar, ¿sí?
Sí,
Cerca del mar en California, en Washington,
bello.
en Florida. Es fácil obtener cualquier tipo de pescado. Uy, el cangrejo crab.
Oh,
Sí,
sí, el cangrejo
eso
me
sí. Ay, me
gusta.
encanta.
La
Pero
langosta.
y sí cuesta, pero es difícil encontrar
Ujú.
a muchos tipos de pescados, ¿sí? Bueno, ¿cuáles son otras comidas lujosas?
Ujú. Sí.
¿Algo más o no?
Sí.
¿No? Ok, vale. ¿Qué comida probaron ustedes o probaste tú, sí, durante un viaje, sí? Ah, Por ejemplo, durante mis viajes a España, he comido sardinas que son muy buenas. Aquí, sardinas, no.
Ah, sardina.
No me parecen bien aquí de una lata out of a can, no. Pero
Fresh.
muy
Ah,
frescas, sí. Es pescado delicioso,
mm.
Hmm.
pero aquí no, porque no está fresco. Otras comidas.
Um, in Ecuador, Los restaurantes tienen boles de palomitos en las mesas. Lo ponías en la sopa. Es muy delicioso.
En la sopa.
En la sopa. También jugo de frutas que nunca hemos visto en ningún otro lugar. Fruta fresca.
Y
Magnífico.
tienen otros tipos de frutas, ¿verdad?
Oh, yes.
Sí, porque muchas veces hay frutas en Sudamérica especialmente, tienen frutas que no existen aquí.
Sí.
Y,
No existen. And they probably couldn't ship them anyway.
no,
But
sí, sería algo muy caro. Sí, eso, exacto. Ok. ¿Hay otros platos, otras comidas de que quieren hablar o no? ¿Nada? Bien. Ok, vale. Oh, perdón. Sí, Federico.
So again, I have a phrase that I wrote that I want you to tell me why I got it wrong. I wrote for number 6, pido para las comidas que gente lo comen. Corrected for pido comidas que la gente come. So
Sí.
in other words, give me, do you have enough time to tell me the 19 things I got wrong with
No,
pido
no
las
son
comidas?
19, they're not 19. No hay 19 cosas. Guy, no seas tan pesimista. Don't be pessimistic. No, 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 no. Federico, bien, fácil, fácil. Pido, I ask for. The for is built in. Certain verbs. The for, yeah. Pido por. No, no se dice pido por.
Okay.
I ask for in exchange. I know you're thinking all the right things in exchange for and all that good stuff. Pero pido, I ask for. ¿Sí? En inglés necesita for. ¿Sí?
Got it.
I ask for chips. I ask for beer. I ask for. En español simplemente pido cerveza, pido topopos, pido aceitunas, pido pescado. Ask for siempre es pido. So there are certain verbs in Spanish where that for idea is built in. The other one that comes to mind right away is buscar, look for. See? And you never need the word for. So with pido, you never need the word for. It's just pido. See? With busco, we never need the word for. It's just busco. See? Busco un correo. I'm looking for a post office. Busco una farmacia. I'm looking for a pharmacy. Bien. So certain verbs will have that just baked in and you don't need to think about it. Y pido la comida típica. I order the typical food. Pido la comida típica que la gente come aquí.
So the fact that I put in the article, las comidas, was that right or wrong? Did I need las or is it expected?
Pido la comida típica que la gente come aquí.
Okay.
Sí. O pido los platos, if you're ordering for any kind of dish, right? Pido los platos típicos que la gente come aquí.
Okay.
That's it. Sí. La comida is probably the easiest blanket thing, or los platos, because los platos would mean, you have many different types of foods all thrown together to make that particular dish. Bien?
Okay, and then I used it at the end, lo comen. So
Okay.
third person plural comen, and lo is, so tell me which tell me all the things wrong with
Pues,
that.
sí, lo comen. Lo comen would have to be kind of separate, not all run together in this sentence. Pido la comida que la gente come aquí.
Eat there.
I
Okay.
ask for the food that people eat here.
Okay.
Lo comen, they eat it. And it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense there because you're already talking about la comida. Okay, when would you use lo comen? Okay, or la comen. Depends on what the it is. See? Okay. Por ejemplo, los tomates. Sí, los comen para el desayuno. They eat them for breakfast. En España, los comen para desayuno. And then we're using a los to talk about tomates to stand in for it. See?
Got
Bien.
it. Yep. Okay.
Okay. See? Bien?
Sí.
Bien?
Gracias.
Okay. You didn't really need the lo comen because we already know you're talking about the food that people eat. So yeah, we don't need a lo. It's not standing in for anything there. Okay, bien.
Thank you.
Vale. I do want to send out two things, and I want to preview what you'll be doing for next week. Una cosita es breve. And this came up as útil. This one is super useful because this came up actually from a question. Somebody said, I keep hearing people using the word queda, but they use it different ways, and I'm super confused. And that was a very astute observation because it's totally true. Okay, so what you're going to see, actually, no, I'm not going to confuse you. There's a great big long page. Queda, and so in the effort to answer this person's question about why do I keep hearing the word queda coming up all the time? But the meaning always seems to be different. That was the question really originally. I keep hearing queda, but it always sounds different. And sometimes they're talking about clothes, and sometimes they're talking about what stuff they have at a restaurant. And I'm just totally, how can they be using queda to talk about clothing and to talk about like what stuff they have on the menu?
Marilyn, in the video that we just had, didn't she say queda con?
And there's another one.
Comida, yeah.
And that lost me for a minute.
And people go, wait a minute, this is like way too much. Okay, so in the effort to answer this question, I of course went looking for the best answer. And of course, then I found here are 12 uses of quedar. Well, seriously, like you're going to process all that 12 uses, although that's probably true. There probably are 12. There might be more. It might be higher than 12. But this is great because this is called the 80-20. So what that means is 80% of the time, you're going to hear 20% of these phrases. So 80% of the time, this is what people mean when they use quedar. And he's going to go through the contextual situations. So, okay, you're going to watch that. It's going to be very obvious. I want you to know I think it's his wife he's got in this video. So he's going to have her illustrate some of them. Even though he speaks with a British accent, his wife is not from Spain, so she will not be having that Spanish accent. She has a Colombian accent. And what I want you to try to do when you're done with that video to kind of see if you can then go to this screen. You're also going to get this little screen. I want to see after you listen to that video on quedar, if you can use it to talk about these things. See if you can come up with a little short sentence. You won't get this one. This one, I'm going to put this one towards the end. You won't get this one, but you will get the others. You will probably get the others. Okay. So what he's going to talk about is quedarse, reflexivo, and then the other things, and quedar con or quedar a are two of the things you're going to hear. So this 80-20 is important because quedar is used and used and used over and over in everyday chit chat, but it may mean different things. So knowing the context will be important, and knowing kind of the structure it's being used in, because sometimes it'll be used conjugated for a human being, and sometimes it's conjugated like you're used to with gustar.
Oh.
But the meanings will be different. So you're going to watch that little video and see if you can come up with some simple little examples in the slides that I give you. Bien. And the second thing you're going to get is going to be a different video for listening. I'm going to advise with this video, because it's a David and Ana video, you'll probably want to slow it down. You definitely want to put on these subtitles. And I have already a vocab list. Okay, because you're going to have a vocab list of some little colloquial things they say, which would be puzzling if you didn't have somebody to just jot that down for you. So I'm going to give you the little conversation video. And this is about, again, things that people do other places. But this is about choques culturales, cultural shocks. And what they're going to talk about is kind of a reverse choque cultural, a reverse cultural shock. Cultural shock they experienced being native Mexican folk, but experiencing it in their country. And you'll see why they come up with that, because it's a video full of interesting little stories about watching foreign people in Mexico. And what throws them off, totally about being a native Mexican when you're amongst a lot of foreigners in your own country. So I've got some little conversation ideas and a vocab list that will help you with listening to the video and things we can talk about. Okay, vale, bien?
Sí.
Bien. Bueno, ok. Y el video es interesante porque habla de... Es un poquito como el video de Rachel, pero no se trata de la comida específicamente, se trata de la manera de interactuar, de hablar con la gente que visitan a tu país o su país, ¿sí? Y eso es. Okay. Bien. And you'll get a little video on quedar. The quedar is going to be super, super easy to understand, but you're going to go through about, like, I think it's 4 or 5 different uses. It's not 12.
Good.
But yeah, these are the things that you'll hear the most. Okay? ¿Todo bien?
Sí.
Sí.
Todo bien. Vale, fantástico. I think you'll probably come up with some interesting things. I know I thought of some interesting things. Actually, one of the things that they talk about is a lot, very much how, how other people act. We always talk about, one of the things that is typically said in Mexico is, when they describe themselves is los mexicanos son personas muy abiertas. They're very open people. But you're going to see there's one situation where it's not, they use, instead of abierto, they use the word frío to talk about, to talk about like not being so warm, touchy-feely, but a specific context of interaction where you as an American, although they're really talking about Canadians, too many similarities between our cultures and the folks north of the border. A situation where we kind of do TMI, too much information, for people in other cultures. And you hear this often with French people too, that they feel Americans are just weird for this reason, that it's always too much information and very kind of like upfront, like too open, too fast. People are like, what are you talking
We
about?
smile too much.
We smile too much. We smile too much. And you know, how many times have you been with somebody, I don't know, in line at the deli, in line getting a drink, wherever, and somebody just starts up some random conversation. You don't know them from Adam, and they just start talking at you about like what their day was like, and you're like,
That's because they're cuckoo. You have cuckoos all over the place.
well,
It's not
Okay, see.
because they're Canadian or American.
or like, you know, this is maybe a more toned down thing. And maybe this is more common amongst women, I think, perhaps. You know, you're standing there minding your own business. You're thinking about 1,000 things. And somebody walks up to you and says, I love your shoes. Where did you get your shoes? And you're like, okay, I don't know you.
Does
But
that bother you?
this kind of thing, maybe this just happens to me. I don't know. But, you know,
doesn't bother me.
You know, we tend to.
Mi esposa.
All right, you get out of here.
I do that all the time.
I don't know how many times it happens to Fred, but I have to tell you, my running shoes, I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've been stopped in the store. I love your running shoes. Where did you get them?
They better not, really. They must be great shoes to sit on, is all I can say.
You're going to have to show them to us.
Yeah, we want a picture. We want
to see
a
them.
demo next week.
Let's see them. Lift your
Me
foot
too.
up.
What color are they?
The reason this little snippet you're going to hear them talking about struck me is that there was, before I went to Montreal and I was doing some French videos to get myself kind of, you know, to just be able to order a coffee and a sandwich without looking like a real dummy. They talked about how really, and the French are much more so even this way. You know, you don't like go into a bank or a deli or whatever and just, hi, how are you? Isn't it a great day? And you know how they always tell you make small talk is a no-no in France. Big no-no. And they find it offensive and highly personal, small talk. I love this. That jacket is such a pretty jacket. They're like, get out of my face. You know, I would never think complimenting somebody on clothing, just somebody standing in line, would offend someone. But in France, it does. And apparently there's like not that far off with in a certain context. You'll hear it. I was like, okay, I've heard this before. Apparently we're very guilty.
You know, I read the most it was an article like 20 of the most unfriendly cities, and like 8 or 10 of them were in France.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, well, there was a campaign. There was an article, I think, in the New York Times about this. And this was pre-pandemic, but kind of recent. So let's say this was like 2008, 2010. There was apparently a national campaign in France where they went to the people and they said, you know, summer's coming up, high tourist season, Americans coming over, people from all other places. Please, French people, be nice to the foreigners. Please be nice. These people bring their money, they spend it. Please try to be nice. And I was like, wow, really? And they said it was like this legitimate push from the government of please try to be polite to foreigners because they're bringing their money here. And I thought, oh my goodness. Okay. So you see, those stereotypes. And or like another thing that was said, it was like somebody said this again, the same lady who told me about don't chit chat with the guy behind the counter. Hey, what do you think about that rain today? Don't go there, you know, or how's your day going? Yeah, that kind of thing. A lot of how's your day? And you don't know the person from Adam, right? But it's kind of considered kind of just a friendly thing. And, really, what is a person going to say? I'm having a lousy day. Get out of my, no. They're always going to tell you, oh, fine, thanks, or, how are you? It seems inane, but, and of course, the only acceptable answer to how are you is fine. Because yeah, how are you? I'm lousy. Nobody says that, but that would be real life, right?
I don't really want to know. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently that's a thing. And the other thing is they say if you visit a French person's house, do not ask for a tour of the house. Because they consider that highly rude as well, that you're going into personal space, which I kind of understand, because I always found that, like, I'd have friends, my kids' playgroups, like, let me show you the whole house, and be like, do I really need to see your whole house?
Yeah.
I maybe need to know where your bathroom is. That's about it. But yeah, we all have our things. We all have our things. But anyway, yeah, it'll be fun. So, vale.